Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
And this is Ellen coming to you from chilly Philly. And today we have a special guest joining us on Light Talk.
This is Dennis coming to you from New York, New York. The city's so nice, they named it twice. And as Steve already told you, you're listening to Light Talk.
And this is David coming to you from the beautiful Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers
and Sister.
That's right, Ellen. Welcome, everyone, to episode 452. And I only have one question to ask to my brothers and sister. Everyone packed for LDI?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's coming up, man. I finally made my plane reservations today and got a great place right there on the Strip. The only problem is that I need a tent to live in it.
Oh.
That's the only problem.
You're going to say it's Circus again?
Circus is too expensive. I can't afford $59 a night. I'm sorry. I know you all are on expense accounts. You can stay at the Bellagio and things like that. I need to be someplace a little more modest. So I'm staying where Stan used to stay, basically at the hostel. But
why are you not staying with Brother Brackley? I mean, he's having a pool party. It's legendary. His pool parties are margaritas, swimsuits optional. It's just a great thing.
I have no comment about the optional swimsuits right now. I'm just much more concerned with getting in and out of Vegas alive.
Picture that in your mind as you have your margarita in your hand.
This is too much. I just can't deal with it. But listen, everybody, come on Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. in the podcast studio. What are we calling it?
Podcast studio.
The Light Talk Suite. The Light Talk Studio. Anyway, we're going to be there 12:30. Come, because we're going to do a show. It's going to be an hour long. It's going to be fabulous. We got the swag has already been delivered. And listen, this year's swag is better than any year's swag because we have a surprise swag that even my brothers and sister don't know about.
Oh.
So I'm not going to tell you until we get there. So we've got some surprise prizes. So please.
Here's a surprise. Anybody who's listening who doesn't already have a badge can get a free Expo Hall pass with promo code Light Talk. So
That's
go
right.
for it.
That's right. Free entry into LDI.
Right.
And what else could you want? So anyway, come here 12:30 on Sunday the 7th. Snoot and I will be arriving that morning. We're actually coming in on the morning because I have a gig the night before in LA. And then we're going to fly in the first thing in the morning and set up, and it should be a lot of fun.
Are you performing with the Village People again?
No. We performed with the Village People last week, and let me tell you, that was a lot of fun. That was just a total crazy night. It was at the Coach House in Orange County, and we had a great time. And Lori really liked the Cowboy.
Is that place down by the airport?
No, much further south.
Further south, okay.
St. Louis something or other.
Okay.
One of those crazy, towns down there.
Okay, I saw some of your videos.
Oh, what do you think?
Good. I'm surprised they were good.
You were surprised they were good?
Yeah.
What do you think I am, some hack?
No, not you, them.
Oh, them. Oh, they're a lot better. Yeah, they were great.
It's not too late to book them for the Circle Bar.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a Chippendale show.
Right,
it was really
right.
more like a Chippendale show. And it was kind of fun. And the Cowboy had amazing buttocks control. That's all I can tell you. It was something very, very impressive. So,
well, I just have to say that YMCA, aside from its current political, taint, it's a great party song. You put it on and everybody's up and everybody's dancing. It's is really a good energy song, right? Do you ever play it, Rane? Would you ever play YMCA?
Oh, that's a certified banger, absolutely.
Certified banger. Is that what they call it?
An American classic.
It is a banger,
right,
big boy.
It really is, and people love it.
No doubt about it. Okay. Well, today we have Rane Renshaw on the show with us today, and that's really exciting. And Dennis, why don't you talk about Rane a bit?
Rane Renshaw is a lighting designer, director, and programmer with over 15 years of experience in concerts, theater, and multifaceted productions. Having held full-time residencies at venues like Omnia, Live, Story, and Zouk nightclubs, Rane brings a diverse body of work to the table. He graduated from Carnegie Mellon University with his BFA in 2015. Welcome to the show, Rane.
Hey, thank you for having me. That was a good intro.
Well, you got
better
good
the second
experience.
time around.
Great to have you here. Those are some of the hottest clubs in town, let me tell you.
They're not bad joints.
Isn't Omnia, from what I understand, the hardest nightclub in Vegas to get into?
It's a complicated venue to get into, that's for sure. And I think it's only gotten popular over the past 10 years. So they really know how to run a good machine.
They also have the most incredible chandelier in town.
Whoa. They never let me into this place. Rane, please tell us.
I think with your
We're gonna have to call a guy.
LDI, with your LDI badge, you can probably get in there one of the nights from LDI After Dark.
LDI After
Really?
Dark, baby. Usually on Tuesday because they're open
Tuesday. I'll be there
Yeah.
Tuesday night.
David,
I'll be in a partying mood.
You know, this is a nightclub. Rain doesn't get going until like after midnight.
Oh, wait. I sleep at 9. What are you talking about?
You're out of luck.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rain, but isn't that when things really go crazy?
Oh, that after midnight is the busy hour in the nightclubs. So it's not for the weak.
And what are you doing now?
So I left Zouk about a year ago. Now I'm kind of freelancing. Earlier this year, I had a residency with Millennium. He was at Zouk. And then I did Bob Marley Hope Road with the legendary Benny Kirkham.
Right.
Which is an incredible production.
Right, and which very sadly is closed the entire week of LDI.
No way.
Yep.
That
we
is
wanted to bring
disappointing.
our Backstage Las Vegas tour to see it, and I think the only night they're open the entire time is maybe that Tuesday.
Oh, that's discouraging.
I know. It's a
Maybe
shame.
they'd let us in to just tour the place.
I tried really hard, but
Rain,
Bummer.
could you explain for the audience exactly? You're doing the artists that are performing. You're designing their shows that are in the nightclubs, right?
Yeah, there's two roles, right? And this is like an interesting topic to talk about. Is that you have the house guy, and then who's or girl, the LD who's usually in charge of owning the equipment and owning the venue and opening and closing the venue and running any performances that artists don't bring a team. And then nightclubs have evolved to a point to where artists are now bringing their own LDs and VJs and have time-coded productions. And so that house person is kind of helpful when they're not on the console for a show. They're going to be kind of the assistant as far as integrating the traveling LD into the rig if they haven't had any programming time or, helping them feel comfortable.
so when you had these residencies, you were the house guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I transitioned to touring or, I wasn't touring, but I was with Millennium for his shows.
Right.
And then I've kind of just worked my way up into the freelance circuit.
Cool.
How much time do you set aside to help that transition of the road LD into the venue?
Well, that depends on the LD. There are some, people who are really, really have their routine together and they don't really need anything except for a Cat 5 cable into a specific port. And, that's all they need. Mm-hmm. Opposed to, maybe someone who really wants to reprogram all their position palettes for the venue or maybe program something specific. So that, we'll give them a day if they request it.
But how much work are they doing? They're obviously not bringing any of their own gear or anything in from a road show, right?
No, I mean, all the venues have gear. I think Zouk has a couple hundred moving lights. Omnia's got that incredible chandelier. So, in MA2, it was just cloning into the fixtures from the show file you already have, or, now with MA3, it's recipes. But usually the operator already has a show file in which they're used to playing like an instrument with their artist, and they know the musical nuances, and it's just our job to help them line up their spots with our spots and washes with washes and strobes with strobes.
One thing I have to ask, I know a little bit about your history, not much, but you're Mr. Nightclub in Vegas, often known as Sin City, but you started your career in houses of worship as a little boy, didn't you? Matter of fact, in Steve Wood's neighborhood in Dallas,
That's
Texas.
true. That is very true.
How did you get to where you are? Tell us that journey.
Where did you go wrong? I mean, when did Satan come and grab you out of the church and drag you into Las Vegas?
That's good. And that's the way my mom tells the story pretty much right there. My mom was a piano player and she was in the church band. And in Texas, Steve, as you know, churches a bit ago really evolved into the mega church with smoke, lights, and mirrors. And as that was happening, I was a teenager and was just kind of hanging around for rehearsals and there because that's where my mom was. So, like so many stories that we hear today, I kind of accidentally stumbled into the craft because it was there and I was interested and curious and stayed that way long enough to turn it into a job and then a study.
Where did you go to high school? Last week we had Hannah Kerman on, and she went to high school in Dallas, and that led to her career in theater. Did you? It'd be shocking if you went to the same high school.
Yeah. I went to Newman Smith, so that'd be interesting if we did. But I think she's Highland Park.
Yeah, she's Booker T.
Booker T. Okay. I went to Newman Smith, and that is definitely the bridge between houses of worships and nightclubs. Was I had a really good theater director who recognized that I was, had some skill, and made an effort to harness that into a positive extracurricular activity. And then by the time I got to senior year of high school, once you start making plans on a future, they were really involved in me thinking about this as a college program. And they insisted I go to kind of, in Texas, we have these like portfolio reviews where you set up a table and you've got your portfolio printed and colleges might come talk to you about it. And that's how I became connected with Carnegie Mellon. And after some more calls and interviews and an audition, that ended up being the route that I took. And the reason that I did that was because I felt like I really already had a lot of experience as far as programming and interpreting music and the musicality of lighting, but I really had no sort of experience in the paperwork or the process or the more formal, pre-production parts of a show. In houses of worship, a lot of time it's like, here's your set list 20 minutes before doors, and you just pick your colors and you try to make it moving. And learning the theatrical process, added such a substance to that. You're picking texture for a particular reason, or you're picking angle for a particular reason, and that led to my theater bug. While I'm rambling, and I'll keep it on, the next question is, well, how did you end up in nightclubs? Was in Pittsburgh. While I was in school, I worked at a nightclub on the weekends to kind of fund the whole college experience and pay the bills, and was really attracted to the improvisational element of nightclubs, about how it was busking and you didn't even have a set list, and how engaged the audience was, and there was a real tangible reaction to the music and lights and environment syncing up. And it was really a invaluable opportunity to learn stuff in school all week and then go to the nightclub and be like, oh, well, this is what I learned. How can I put this into practice and see real world that week, how it translated into a gig. And that was where I bit the nightclub bug and ran with it.
That's really cool. It's funny that you say that, because you basically had your own laboratory, to like try out things you learned in school, which is really fabulous. But getting back to the whole worship thing, a lot of our listeners may not realize how advanced worship lighting is. And I got involved in it. Actually, when I taught at SMU, it was really funny because I got a call from my union. And USA 829, they said, hey, we got someone who's looking for a lighting designer who has experience in TV and broadcast, and also in live entertainment and that sort of music. And it's for a church gig in Fort Lauderdale. And it was for the First Baptist Church of Fort Lauderdale. And I couldn't believe the shows they were putting on, the Christmas shows. These were huge productions, right? And now I grew up in the Jewish faith. We never did anything like that. I mean, we never did anything. Yeah. But the Baptists go crazy when it comes to theatricality. So, and then I started to write for Church Production Magazine. I did a lot of this stuff and visited all these churches in Texas, all throughout the country. And the amount of lighting equipment and video equipment they have is like Broadway quality. It's just absolutely amazing.
Did you ever go down the road from you to the Crystal Cathedral? They have amazing shows
there. Crystal Cathedral, same thing. Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a crazy. So, you actually had like this amazing palette of technology to work with. And it's a huge part of our industry. because these churches, especially the Baptists for some reason, don't ask me why, have a lot of money to spend on equipment. So that's pretty cool that you actually went through that part of your career, and then starting in nightclubs.
Yeah, it's almost backwards of typical. I feel today you kind of learn with the hands-on, and then you work your way up to the programming, and then you try to make your programming emotional. And I almost feel like I did it backwards. Like I was already starting with the emotional manifestation of music with lighting. I know that's a weird way to say it, but that's what we're all going for. And then it was like, all right, well, how do I program that? And then it was like, oh, well, how would I design a set that would allow me to program that? And it was just another interesting take on how to learn the craft.
But you see, that's what makes you an artist. That's the difference. I mean, a lot of some programmers may not understand the emotion. I'm just saying some. I'm not saying all. Believe me, they don't understand the emotion. And coming from an emotional point of view, then having the equipment, the tools to create the lighting art to the emotion of the music, the emotion of the moment. Really, that's what it's all about. So 100%. You were actually very fortunate to be able to incorporate that into what you were doing, outside of school. That's pretty cool.
I don't want to take anything away from Sidney Lamaro, who's a fabulous teacher, or any of the folks at CMU, but did you find that the discipline and the more specific training you were getting at Carnegie was preventing your artistic freedom from flourishing, shall we say?
That's a good question. No, I don't. And I think a lot of that was because of what we just talked about, how I kind of already had a grasp on, the intangible part of lighting design. And I wanted to learn the specific skills that I needed to do to create a look like this. And I also felt like when I was in college, and maybe this is a little bit of a hot take, but I almost felt like a customer. Like I didn't necessarily feel like I was a student, that I was always, I didn't really get caught up in the grades, which I wouldn't recommend that to everybody, but I had a real world job where I was applying these skills that I was learning.
Sure.
And I had experience before I had gotten there. So I was really looking to round myself out as a hireable professional, not just get a degree, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
So I'll admit that, and some of my professors will probably attest that I was not the best student when it came to some things, but then it came to, MA programming classes and I was lasered in, so yeah, I think it can get in the way if you're not focused on what you need. But I also think that sort of storytelling that a theatrical program teaches can translate to film. It can translate to dance. It can translate to even concerts now have stories and costume changes. So you see even the casual concert goer is tweeting and Instagramming about performances that don't have the storytelling structure that, they're expecting anymore. So, it might have seemed at first like I just wanted to do flash and trash, and this a little more substantial storytelling isn't necessary. But as I've grown and matured, I definitely acknowledge the value that it has.
Good for you. Great attitude about the whole situation, because a lot of times people get disenfranchised in the process of their academic degree programs.
Can you talk a little about the Hope Road project, like how you and Benny work together? And it's like, I think it's a movable feast, like the audience moves from room to room.
Yeah, I'll overview the show because it's a really incredible concept. The way that I describe it is that instead of sitting in a seat and the scene changes happening on stage, you're standing, moving through the scenes yourself, and the performance happens around you.
That's cool.
And, it's easy to say these fun singer words that get trending, like immersive and that kind of stuff. But this truly was a different beast that I'd never experienced before. And I think the audience did either. As you work your way through 6 major rooms, acrobatics are happening around you. Fog and special effects are coming out, and real performances are happening while this fluid timeline of an audience is walking through. And then what makes it even more complicated is that it's not just one timeline where one group is walking through the venue at a time. They call them pulses, to where every 30, 45 minutes, a new group might begin. So that created a really large logistical problem for Benny and I on a programming side. If we were going to have one time code timeline that went from when an audience member walks into the venue to when they leave, that's kind of pretty straightforward with today's programming. But to have all of these rooms time coded and playing back independently from each other was a different beast, right? So, he did an incredible job designing a show that didn't follow the typical sort of process, right? And I think that would I have been paired up with anybody else, I don't think it would have worked as well, because he's so savvy on the technical side, as well as able to translate that into some really nice storytelling looks. Usually you kind of get somebody on one or the other, but because Benny's such a strong programmer, he already had this exciting concept on how to approach this complicated show. And that allowed us to kind of think about the creative elements instead of getting bogged down in the technical.
It's sort of like Here Lies Love in New York, that Imelda Marcos one, where I don't think you went from room to room, but everything happened around you and the stage kept moving and things were coming at you from all directions. And
where is this venue?
It's in Mandalay Bay. It was the old buffet, and they've renovated it to a venue.
It's better to kill those buffets and do theater.
Yeah.
Did you use a bunch of different consoles? And when people entered the room, a new cue stack would start? I mean, how did you do it? Or did you do one console?
We had one console. Well, programming it, we had two consoles, which was pretty cool because typically when you think about programming theater, right, your programmer, your lighting designer, as a programmer, you're getting told presets and channels, and you're pretty much just bringing to life what they're asking you to do. Benny gave me a lot of trust and a lot of freedom. We would each take a console, we would each go to a different room, and we would each work through separate parts of the production, of course, under his guidance with notes. But, it was wild to be in the venue programming two completely different parts of the show, worlded out from each other, and not stepping on each other's toes until I would forget that I would be in the all world and I would hear Benny go, Rane! But, playback was triggered by each room had an own I/O node, so that was an independent time code clock. So each room is its own time-coded sequence with its own independent clock. And every audience pulse has a stage manager that's walking through it with them. So when they're ready for the next sequence to begin, which sometimes is a door opening, sometimes it's a fog burst, sometimes it's a song or a line, they hit go, and that begins. It could overlap with the previous one, right? Because they're so independent. And then each time code sequence is programmed when it gets to the bottom of the stack. We automatically have it reset, give them some work lights once the audience is through so they can reset for the beginning. And then after a certain amount of time, it just gets ready to stand by for the next pulse.
Is there dialogue or it's all music?
All music. Well, there's dialogue too. Without giving too much away, the show begins very naturally, like it begins around you.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Starts in a kind of a bar dance hall setting. You're allowed to get some red stripes. I think it's one of the only places you can get a red stripe on the strip. And then all of a sudden you're drinking a red stripe next to a performer.
Cool.
How much time did that take to program?
We started in mid-May, and at that point we were still installing, and it opened in July. So it took.
That's fast.
Yeah. It didn't feel fast.
It is fast. He knows. He's still recovering, apparently. So what is it like? Like, you live in Vegas now? Are you based in Vegas?
I am. I live in Vegas. I'm based in Vegas. When really awesome opportunities like that come up, I am just so excited to be a part of them. And this is like the place for those types of projects.
It's a pretty awesome place. A lot of money.
Let's talk about LDI a second.
Okay.
Rane has very generously over the past couple of years stepped in and filled the shoes of Luther Frank to moderate and help program our Art of Programming sessions. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm really excited about LDI this year. The Art of Programming is an awesome panel every year where we talk about what it means to be a programmer, and we start with the very job description, and then we end the day covering topics like incorporating yourself, taxes for an independent business, buying equipment and writing it off. So we really take you from, I think that this might be something I'm seriously interested in, to either, yes, this is it, or whoa, you've overwhelmed me. which is cool. But it's not me sitting up with a PowerPoint explaining to people. It's 4 different panels, and each panel has a different group of LDs ranging from different experience levels and different pillars of the industry, all kind of just pouring their knowledge into the group of students that are attending the panel. It's a really important panel to me. I attended it as a student many years ago. It's something that I think a lot of kids, I don't want to say kids, but a lot of students or even, adults who look like who seem to be changing professions, they get into this and they recognize that there's a career in it, but they just don't know how, like you can't always go back to theater school at Carnegie Mellon. You can't always just go get an internship at PRG, especially if you're mid-career shift. So it's a really good way to go learn the intangibles of the profession so that you can walk into a gig and feel qualified without, it kind of removes that imposter syndrome. We talk about what you need to think about during a load-in. We talk about what not to think about during a load-in, how to deal with designers. We tell horror stories. We tell great stories. And Benny, like we just talked about Benny Kirkham, lighting designer for Hope Road. He's on all 4 panels. We'll be talking about that project and what it took to get it off the road. So, we try to bring real world examples too, so that we're not just talking.
Don't some of the programmers talk about like how they set up their console and different ways of doing that as well?
Of course, we'll throw some hypothetical situations to programmers. Hey, like this is the kind of situation you just walked into. How would you handle it? Which, that's the best kind of conversation is we'll call on question and answers from people. And there's a specific sort of thing that people are wondering. We'll talk about it for a while. Of course, we bring some internet humor and some relatability to it. So it's not just so dry. It's approachable. And progressively aimed at the students.
I'd like to ask a question. What is internet humor? Is that what we're doing? I have no idea what that is.
Internet humor, I guess, would, you could start with memes, but if I tell you a joke and it's only funny because you saw something on the internet that I'm alluding to, I think that would be internet humor,
Okay. Can we talk about details? Exactly which days are we talking about and what times?
For sure. The panel is the Saturday before the show floor starts. So if you're already in town, it's part of LDI Institute. I said that right?
No, it's actually part of the LD Innovation
Innovation package?
Yeah.
Conference.
So if you have an LD Innovation conference badge, you can go to all 4 of the art of programming sessions.
That's right.
And it
LDI Innovation
runs from like 9:30 in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
There are breaks.
The first panel's at 9.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just it's casual and informal. If you can only make a couple, come. If there's one on my website, I have a breakdown, and on the LDI website, there's a breakdown of every course. So if one looks like the specific nuggets of knowledge that you're chasing, you can just come in and out to that one.
Right. It's really well attended too. I mean, there's usually like 100 people in the room. It's really everybody's interested in programming.
It's a really good highlight.
Obviously a hot topic. So you've also branched out with your company, Limelight, and are doing other online training, right?
Yeah.
What are those about?
Sure. So, my company, Limelight Wired, it's an online content company. We have 4 online self-paced lighting courses. And the concept of them is that it's just accessible education to anyone that would like it. We don't go over specific console syntax. It's more general knowledge about the craft, right? What is patching? What is a DMX profile? Why would we even do that? I understand, a lot of people know, if I address a fixture to 100, I go and I type 100 on it. But, beyond that, that's what I'm explaining. What are you addressing and how does that fit into the bigger picture of a control path? Those courses are online and available in a mobile app, the Limelight Wired mobile app, and you can join them for free. And there, you click right through them. There's memes, there's videos, there's written text. You can message us if there's a topic you'd like us to add to them. So they're just a great resource that I think the industry deserves.
This is something you created personally?
Correct.
Why? No, it's just
because it's a service.
It exactly is a service, and it's a great service. But it doesn't sound like there's any sort of remuneration for you other than finding a place for you in the afterlife.
It's because he's excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Limelight Wired is a growing platform for the lighting programmer. And we also produce content based, partnering with manufacturers as far as new products or new software releases or case studies like, product on a very interesting show. I'll go cover. Lighting designers I'm friends with will do behind the scenes of their shows. And so the educational element of that is just an extension of that brand and that platform. And all it is growing it.
An incredible amount of work. I mean, kudos to you.
I think it's self-preservation. So when Rane starts doing big, huge productions, the programmers know what the hell they're doing.
It's secretly a recruiting tool. No, but it's good. Every time I do, to tie it all back to the art of programming, every time we do that panel, every session that ends, there's 5 or 6 youngins that run up to us and just are so excited to ask questions, and they're thinking about doing lighting, or they just, they really want to create an effect on their console for their venue, and they just want to think to do this. And that is really the more exciting part of this industry to me. I've been very fortunate to do amazing shows and work at amazing venues and have a great roster of artists that I've worked with. And I feel very fortunate for that, but it wouldn't have happened had not there been a great community of LDs helping me and teaching me and instilling knowledge in me. So, to pull it all back again and answer your question, why did I do that? Because someone out there needs it. Someone out there's a young me, and this is their chance at having a career in a craft that they enjoy. And they might not be able to come to LDI. They might not be able to attend USITT. So they can download an app, and maybe that gets the ball rolling in their local environment. And, just like me, 10 years down the road, they might be hosting a panel at LDI.
That's great. How much interaction do you have with manufacturers when it comes to like MA growing from 2 to 3 and like changing the syntax, or the programmers going, wait, stop?
Me, I have zero influence at all.
You think they'd come to you guys?
I know they do. But I think that with Limelight Wired growing as a platform, people usually wait to talk to me when a product is stable.
Ah, okay.
What do you think the future is going to bring with AI and consoles, and what's the next big thing people are trying to accomplish?
Well, I think we're going to see more shows like Bob Marley Hope Road that are not a single timeline. I think that, maybe this isn't an AI answer, but the future of the industry is just progressively complicated programming. If you looked at F1 this past weekend in Vegas, they had to have at least 10 to 12 programmers on the show. And everywhere you walked on campus, there was truss and JDC2s and pixel bars running effects, and everything looked like it was Coachella, but you were walking around the lobby of a temporary stadium, And I think that, we're going to continue to see that. Like, we're going to see malls, and we're going to see fitness studios, and we're going to see grocery stores all have production elements, because the common consumer is expecting it now. People go to a concert and they expect flash and trash. People go to Soul Cycle and they expect some sort of immersive environment that's going to stimulate them. And we're only going to, the shows and the walking through places are only going to continue to become one. And I think that's, what I'm trying to extrapolate from that to say is the future is that there's so much variables in a timeline. It's no longer light Q1 stand by, light Q1 go. Light Q2 goes when audience member 3 walks through and triggers the thing that's going to happen to the door. And that has to happen every night. You know what I mean? With Bob Marley Hope Road, there's no lighting board operator. All that happens is they hit go and the show runs. There's a crew in case something breaks, but I think we'll see AI creep into that when it comes to the operation. And we'll see AI help us develop workflows that are maybe saving us keystrokes or eliminating the need for a plugin that somebody wrote that we're all using, because that's still kind of the culture right now, right? And so I don't really see AI as a big replacement beast. I do see it as a very, very important tool to help shrink the timeline of programming.
Okay, so let's talk about shrinking the timeline of programming. As a programmer, specifically, what could AI do to make your life easier and faster and your creative process much more efficient?
Drawing on my personal experience from this year, I would say arranging pixels and pixel mapping would probably be the quickest thing that and most apparent, right? Like if we have 3,000 pixels and you're trying to arrange them into a tree, like we did in Bob Marley, it took days to get each pixel arranged and right into a proper layout view and grouped and organized so that we could do sweeping effects up and down through them. But I think that we're going to be able to integrate that with drawings a little more, and we should pull that, AI will be able to program those kind of sequences that allow us to think about what effect we want running through the tree and not programming each pixel on the tree, if that makes sense.
Yeah, without breaking any confidentiality agreements, have manufacturers contacted you to ask you about AI and how AI could make your life easier?
No.
That's surprising to me. Is this surprising to you?
Yeah. I think manufacturers are pretty smart, so I'm sure they already have their own ideas of what AI they can help. But my experience with AI is still, bedroom image generation.
Yeah,
trying to put a Santa hat on my puppy.
I get it, but still, it seems to me if I was running a company that is producing lighting consoles and media servers,
yeah,
the first people I would be talking to would be programmers to find out really how this technology could assist.
David's looking for the console that you talk to, and you say, okay, we're doing chorus line, light it like Theron Musser.
So we've been talking about this for years. It's crazy.
I would say like the closest thing to that immediately, you can load songs into it and it'll break down the songs and create cues and assign colors and it kind of does that already for you, right? But that I think that their customer is not a lighting programmer, it's a fitness studio or a wedding DJ.
But as a lighting programmer, wouldn't it be easier for you to say, take fixture 12, 23, and 17 and hit them at +5, left 7?
So it sounds like we need to get you an Alexa lighting console.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's go back a second to the, you see that in the high-end fitness studio things. Are you at a point in your career now where you walk in, no judgments are being made? Do you recognize the non-human's work? You look at it?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's hard to tell because you could, now I don't want to insult anybody, but if I walk in and I see a circle effect that's only hitting the ceiling and walls, then I know, someone with an eye didn't program that, right? Because it's hitting nothing. So you kind of hope for, you can kind of notice things like that. But I think, I don't know that I'm paying that much attention to the queuing, which maybe is why it's such a sweet spot for it to be a product.
In line with that same thing of tightening up labor, do you think that the programmers and designers are going to start disappearing into one role? I mean, I do television and broadcast work, and I see that now where they don't want to hire a programmer. They want a designer that's going to do all the programming because they don't want to pay. So ultimately, your work as a programmer will end up being you as a programmer and the designer so that they don't have to, or you're going to have to market yourself as a designer who programs.
Well, I mean, and that's almost like the role specifically in broadcast, the role has evolved that way to where the programmer is essentially designing the lighting and the lighting designer is just politicking all day long, right? They're checking in with producers, they're in the truck. But when it comes to the actual cueing, and the actual color effects, usually the designer's saying, do that little white thing that I like so much. Or, it's almost like we're going to have to talk about it differently, right? Because they're designing what they're programming. And then, maybe the big boss gets veto power, but you're usually hired because you do a couple things that they like already.
Well, I think it's a sense of being able to communicate. I mean, the programmers I use, I want to use the same ones because I don't want to talk to anybody. They know what I want. And the lack of need to having to communicate the most minute details, if that's gone, then it saves a lot of time and it's more efficient. Mm-hmm. That's essentially where the AI is going to go. And ultimately, if a director can talk to an AI console and say, this is the cue I want, and as David said, give very specifics, then the director of the show can eliminate the lighting designer and the programmer.
I follow you, but I think we're a long way from that.
Think so?
AI still can't say, can we make that warm and give it a decay that makes it feel like a mole? You know what I mean? And maybe we could say that, but they don't know what that means. You know, and actually I think that is where the subjective part of lighting design is so fun, because to me what a decay on a blinder effect is different than what designer C might think a decay on a mole effect would be. Or if you're wanting comet trails through if you have pixels and you're trying to send comet trails up through them, you say that to AI, and I don't know that they're going to know exactly.
Sure. You're talking about the human design sensibility that AI doesn't quite get yet.
Yeah. And honestly, as maybe someone who does span the designer program world, that's where I want to live. I'm not really interested in patching and configuring in the network stuff. So if AI can figure all that out, I'd be more than happy to let it, so that I can live in the world of like, what, this look isn't popping for me yet. Let's try a few more colors or a different angle.
Have you played with composing music with AI?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting pretty good, actually. Yeah. I'm surprised because I'm a composer.
Yeah.
It kind of blows me away sometimes.
I think you can still kind of tell, like, okay, this is a pretty basic chord progression.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
But in a year, it's going to be so far.
It's going to get gritty.
It's going to get crazy.
You play an instrument, Rane?
I played the cello growing up. I don't anymore.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, we don't have a cello on the Light Talk theme.
Not on the song. The Luminoids, we need a cello player, man.
There you go.
You're on board.
There we go.
You'll make as much as we make.
Best instrument, because you get to sit down the whole time.
Right.
That's right. But it's most
you don't
beautiful
have to play in the marching band.
Exactly.
Thank God.
Exactly.
Do you have advice for any young lighting designers and programmers to get into the business? Do you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, just don't be scared to be around, and if you find that you're trying to sniff around a place and they don't want you around, don't take that personally. And what I mean by that is, like, being around and being available is how you get plugged in usually, if you, and it does feel silly at the very beginning, because you're like, I'm just going to be around these people and I don't really have a responsibility. But, if you want to work in a certain lane and you are invited to be around for shows like that, take it, because you're only going to learn from it, and only good could come from it, and I think if I could double that up with another piece of advice, it would be, don't be scared to take any types of gigs, and don't be scared to learn that that's not the kind of gig you want. I've done a lot of work and realized this isn't where I'm going to shine super bright. I don't really enjoy the process. I think I won't take any more of these gigs. So I don't frustrate anybody, and I'm not frustrated. And I think when you're young, you think of that as like turning away work. But as you mature, you realize that you're just niching down to what you really want to be doing.
So in 2015, you get your BFA from Carnegie. You're doing work at the nightclub in Pittsburgh. How do you get from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Who was it? What did you do to end up in whether it was Miami nightclubs or Vegas first?
Andrew Giffen was the very generous human being who connected me with Omnia Nightclub. And he was a friend at the time, and he just connected two people he connected somebody who needed something to a place who needed someone, and that's what I mean by just be around people.
Sounds like that's what you're doing with Limelight Wired and your platform for LDs and your work teaching. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that may
great.
be the name of the episode, Niching It Down.
Niching it down.
Niching it down.
So, Rane, thank you so much for being with us today. It's great. And make sure you stop by the show on Sunday at 12:30. We'll be there. And we have free booze. You know, Ellen is like doing an open bar for us.
Very funny.
Very nice.
We'll bring some Red Stripes in a cooler.
I like
Red Stripes,
I like
pretty
that.
much.
Thank you.
Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids tell us that once again you spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on just about every podcast site out there. Check out our website at lighttalk.org and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
if you do decide to litigate, you will have to deal with me, Snoot from the Snoot Group. And don't get it twisted. Just because I married one of these losers does not mean I will go easy on you. So don't f*** with me.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers
And Sister.
coming to you from the city of sisterly love, Philadelphia, the Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, from the Lone Star State, from the home of LDI, Las Vegas, and the internet entertainment capital of the world, New York City.
be sure to join us next week when we dive into even more lighting shenanigans and serve up a fresh, piping hot casserole of nonsense.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So thanks again, Rane, for being with us, and we'll see you in Vegas, and we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.